If you'd asked me how I felt about fighting games a year ago, I would have told you I didn't enjoy them and honestly didn't think I ever would. I've talked about this a bit before in my Absolver video, but the perceived barrier to entry of the genre as a whole is pretty high. No doubt thanks to the widespread view of fighting games as this highly competitive thing that you have to play competitively. That, in addition to the more technical aspects like motion requirements, combo notations, and just the fucking existence of fight sticks, leads to something that's pretty intimidating to look at and even think about getting into. It's not that I never took fighters seriously, it's more that I took them so seriously I didn't want to put in the amount of time it would take to become competent at them when I probably wouldn't enjoy the genre anyways. And that's been my prevailing view on fighters as a whole. They've been these obtuse, unwelcoming, and frankly intimidating games with high skill ceilings and no room for the new kid. That is, until my nerdy ass sat down to play Dragonball FighterZ. At first, I was gonna let this game pass me by, but the more I saw of it, aka the more fan service it shoved into my face, and the more passion and respect for the source material that the team at ArcSys showed for the project, the more interested I got. I couldn't help but get insanely excited, and after I had to deal with my friends talking incessantly about it for like a week, I gave in. And I played it pretty much non-stop for the next week, and the week after that, and if we're gonna be honest, probably the week after that too. In spite of some pre-existing repeat strain injuries on both my thumbs, I stuck to playing as intensely as I was on my little Xbox One controller because that's all I had. I played in training mode, I completed the combo challenges for my favorite characters, I played in arcade, and of course, I played with my friends, who taught me a whole lot about what this game could be. A really damn good time. Despite how much fun I was having, the injuries in my thumbs had become agitated and started to suck a whole lot again, and things kinda leaded to a point of ultimatum. I either stop playing for months and let my hands heal, or I'd get a fight stick. Yeah, I shit you not, this goofy game got me so invested, I picked up a fight stick just so I could keep playing it with my friends, and Jesus Christ, learning to play on a fight stick is a whole different ordeal. I digress. I did eventually take a break from DBFZ so I could work on some projects and, you know, deal with the shit that life likes to throw at us, but I recently picked the game back up and I've found that I'm sticking to it a bit more this time. I'm looking up tutorials for characters I hadn't played before. I'm playing more and more online, and I'm playing with my friends whenever I can. And that's when I noticed that this hadn't gotten me to just play and care about a single solitary fighting game. Dragonball FighterZ has turned me around on the genre as a whole. I've been paying more attention to other games and even taking dives into them with some of my friends. I understand the concepts and terms and techniques at play in totally different games like Street Fighter and Rising Thunder, rest in peace. Picking up these new games isn't just easier, it's more enjoyable. And it's all because of how Dragonball FighterZ approaches new players. With open arms, a healthy serving of fan service, and your friendly neighborhood auto combo. Mechanically, DBFZ puts in a lot of work to make things easy and enticing for new players to get their feet wet, and I got to get the experience of everything that it does firsthand. The first and most obvious thing that it does is that it provides auto combos. The strict definition of a combo in the context of fighting games is that it's a chain of inputs in a specific sequence with strict timing limitations that yields an advantage or specific benefit to the performer. In Dragon Ball, every character has a few simple combos. Stuff like 7 light attacks in a row gets you something like this. For some characters, these auto combos have moves that can't really be done any other way, and in the case of most medium auto combos, they end in a super attack that's actually much harder to chain into manually. These auto combos make it easy as hell to do some cool shit that in other games would only be doable with the more advanced string. It lets new players hold their own at entry level or against their friends. They get you through a good chunk of the story, and they even have their place in challenges, but over time you will start to notice that the people not using auto combos have more options. Various tech that's used to extend combos and eke out as much damage as possible. You'll see somebody do something probably to you and go, Whoa, pause. What the fuck? I want to do that. What's so fantastic about these auto combos is how smoothly they work to transition new players into more advanced techniques just by making the barrier to entry so small, anybody with functional thumbs and a controller can pick it up and have a good time. Making things easier to get into by making it easier to do cool stuff played a pretty big role in my continued play. Mechanically complex games can be really cool, otherwise there wouldn't be so many of them. But starting a game up and being immediately greeted by a brick wall of strict command entry requirements has always been a major turnoff for me in the fighting genre. Even a game that takes the middle ground, like Absolver, had me scratching my head as I pushed my way past their weird barriers, and even though that's one of my favorite games, it's still been kind of a chore to get back into it because of all the minutiae to the technical side of the gameplay. But in Fighters, it's been like riding a bike. In Dragon Ball, there aren't a lot of unique inputs, at least compared to other fighters. Complex stick moves like the Z-shaped Dragon Punch are out, and so are full circle and half circle moves. All you need to worry about here are nice clean quarter circles that you follow up with an attack button or two. In addition, each character has access to 3 specific abilities. The Dragon Rush, which is this game's equivalent of a grab, the Super Dash, which is just the most Dragon Ball way to close a gap, and Vanish, which teleports you behind the opponent and attacks. Each of these abilities is at most a 2-button input, and they are incredibly useful, but not without their drawbacks or weaknesses. Thanks to their comparative simplicity, inputs in DBFZ are a bit harder to mess up and easier to learn than in other fighters, but it does make the characters pretty similar to each other. For learning a game and experimenting to find your mainstay roster, that's super great! But, as many have pointed out, this can lead to things getting stale for being pretty samey across the board. And at face value, yeah, that's pretty right. If you're an experienced player coming into Fighters and you check out the inputs and see that every character has a bunch of input commands in common, then you might be a little confused, a little put off. But hear me out, I got 2 things to say, just 2 things. 1, the characters all having this base level of similarity makes it much easier for new players to pick up and play with any character, and that allows the basics they learned on one character to carry over to any other character they play, which is fantastic. And 2, the staleness is very much surface level. As soon as you start looking into advanced combos and techniques for anyone on the roster, you're going to start to see how things open up when higher level methods come into the equation. These similar input requirements are what's allowed me to play around and use multiple characters, which is something I really like to do in my other favorite fighting game, Smash Bros. And yes, it's a fighting game, fight me on it. And this sort of experimentation is something that's not always a welcoming experience in other games. Being able to freely play around with other characters without having to learn all sorts of new commands and timings and strategies is what keeps DBFZ from feeling like you're restricted to the first characters you try to play as. And as someone that loves experimenting in every game they play, this has led to me diving headfirst into learning all these characters that, if inputs had been as intense as in other games, I probably would never have picked up.
Bring it on!
I'm still new to the fighting game genre, and I'm still nowhere near as good as Joe Schmo or as good as I'd even like to be. But it's because of Dragon Ball FighterZ that I even have an interest in this style of game now. I found a new group of friends. I have a blast just sitting around and trying to figure out how the fuck to instant air dash consistently, and for the first time, I actually gave a shit about watching Evo live. And man, I'm really glad I did, cause holy shit, that was wild! Dragon Ball FighterZ does a great job of making a complex and intense genre welcoming to new players by lowering the barrier to entry through simple commands that naturally lead new players into higher tiers of play. Not everyone's gonna fucking be Sonic Fox, I know I'm not gonna be. But it's because of this natural progression and ease of understanding that Dragon Ball FighterZ is the reason myself and some of my friends have even started caring about a new genre. And I think that's pretty great. Alright, real quick before we go, I have a few thanks to give out. Thanks to Bukin for the Street Fighter footage. Thanks to Hot Cider for showing me some motion graphic stuff, which I ended up not using because I ran out of time. Thanks to Chadunda, Peridactyl, Mystic, Post Mesmeric, Bukin again, and a few other people for chatting with me about the thoughts that I had on this game. It's thanks to discussions I had with them that I was able to really formulate my thoughts and kind of piece this video together, and it was a lot of fun, so thank you guys. And special thanks to Chadunda and Peridactyl for getting me into this damn game. Now I'm addicted, and thanks. Also, before I go, I have a website, just a friendly reminder, indie-bytes.com, link in the description. Go there for articles, videos, and all that sort of really fun stuff. And I have a Ko-fi page, so if you've ever wanted to support the channel in a way other than doing YouTube stuff, you can head over there and make a little donation. Each donation is $3 minimum, because that's just how the platform works, but I feel like this is better for me than Patreon because I just don't feel like Patreon's a good fit. So if you want to help out in monetary avenues, then head over there and feel free. Otherwise, you know, don't feel pressured to do it. Like, if you can or if you don't want to, that's totally okay. Every little bit of other YouTube stuff that you do helps out. Like, subscribe, shares, all that stuff. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
That's right, boys. Mondo Cool.